Chimana kwanso what talk about life, Ulivo leo, ioni ya leo. Wenda kesho yorada ibadilike. Matatizo ule nayo leo, hizo shida ule nazo leo. Wenda kesho yorada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho yorada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho yorada ibadilike. Wamekubali kama jina, wakakuitanisha na shida. Hawajui kunaye anayepeana majina. Hawajui na watawaijua ni nini kesho Mungu amepanga na maisha yako. Cha muhimu ni wewe kujitambua na usonge na rada yake. Hawajui na watawaijua ni nini kesho Mungu amepanga na maisha yako. Cha muhimu ni wewe kujitambua na usonge na rada yake. Ulivyo leo, hiyo ni ya leo. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Matatizo ule nayo leo, hizo shida ule nazo leo. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Wanakusema sema sana, weka sana, usichoke kupambana. Yote ukimwamini Bwana, story yako itabadilika. Walinisema hivyo 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 hivyo, ona sasa story yangu imebadilika. Aliyefanya hivyo 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 kwangu mimi, kwako pia hatabadilisha. Ulivyo leo, hiyo ni ya leo. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Matatizo ule nayo leo, hizo shida ule nazo leo. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike. Wenda kesho hiyo rada ibadilike. Rada ibadilike.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm extremely delighted to welcome you to your favorite show, The Inside View with Nana. And, as we all know, our stories are the bridges that connect the past to the future. And so by sharing our journeys for the next generation to build a brighter future, tonight I have with me one of the few women making a bold statement for the contribution of women in diaspora. I am so honored to have with me the sensational, the beautiful, the role model, who is not just that, she's a mother. She's also, a woman, with many colors. She wears a coat, with many colors. And it's such a privilege, for me to have her on my show and also to share her journey with us. And so tonight, without wasting too much time, I will just have Lydia Tett Olet on the show tonight. Lydia, welcome to The Inside View.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I am so honored. Honestly, I am so
Thank
honored.
you.
I've watched you from afar. I've loved you from afar. I have cherished you in my heart from afar.
Oh,
And to have you tonight on my show, I do not take you for granted at all. Just to say, you've inspired me a lot. Um, I'm so proud of you. I am so, so proud of you. And I know that
thank you.
tonight, any young girl or any woman that listens to you, that watches you, will be inspired to do more if she hasn't started anything. I think your story, your life, your charities, and everything you've done, up to date, will inspire many to say, do you know what? If Lydia has been able to do it, obviously we can also do it. So thank you, and also welcome once again to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Nana. And I don't take this platform for granted as well. So thank you so much. And the fact that you actually called my name, you mentioned my name or pronounce it properly, Lydia Tett Olet. People normally find it hard to say the Tett Olet. So thank you so much for that. That
wow,
means a lot.
wow,
And thank you for the platform. Actually, I don't take it for granted and appreciate you as well. And when you first contacted me, I had to go and Google you, and I was like, oh my God, who is this woman? And when I was reading your profile, actually, I was listening to your interviews, the love of God that you have. That actually so inspired me because for me, first of all, regardless of who we are or regardless of what we're doing, if we don't have God or if we don't put God forward, to
yeah,
me, it means nothing. So if I find somebody who loves God the way I do, I'm always so intrigued and inspired by that person. So for that, I would say thank you so much because not a lot of people praise and worship God openly. They always say, "Oh, you praise God in your secret place, in your secret cupboard," and then in public, we have this other image of ourselves because we don't want to portray ourselves as Christians, or we're scared that people look at us and think, oh, but like you or me, I'm not scared to always say that I love Jesus and I love the Holy Spirit and I love God, the creator of heavens and earth, and without apology. So I love the fact that your videos when I was watching is all fast praises and praises and praises. So thank you for actually lifting his name as well in
thank you,
public.
thank you, thank you. Do you
Yeah,
know what? We are what we are, because of Christ. Without Christ,
exactly.
we are nothing. We
Exactly.
are nothing. So
Exactly. Exactly.
thank you, and I think we are sharing the same spirit tonight, and
Thank you.
it's going to be an interesting conversation. I don't see
Yes.
it as an interview.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to be a conversation. Two sisters who are just going to, talk, about their lives and
Yes.
everything that has really inspired them
Mm.
or motivated them, to date. So,
Yes.
and I would just urge, if Kenya is
Mm.
online, your mother, your sister, your auntie, your
Yes.
celebrity,
Yes.
is live, please throw your support behind her and let
Mm.
us make Africa proud. Let us make Lydia Tett Olet proud
Amen.
because I think not many women who travel abroad
Mm.
tries or thrives to make their country or their nation so proud like the way
Yes.
Lydia has done for you.
Mm.
So for that matter, please share this interview. Let
Mm.
this conversation go far.
Mm.
And I know she's done many interviews, but this particular interview is not going to be your normal interview. It's going to do something to you.
Yes.
So because of that, share this and let us give a new energy
Mm.
to a woman somewhere that has given up on herself, or a young lady somewhere that thinks there's no life again. And by watching our big sister, our aunt, our mother, Lydia, I know you're going to get a fresh energy, a new insight, and for that matter, a revival in your life. And I just love her. So I can go on and on and on and on. So yeah, yeah. So Lydia,
Yes.
I know, I'll fall short to talk about you, to talk about all that you've done, because I it's like I don't want to leave all the salient points that pertains to you. So
Yes.
I just want to know, who is Lydia Tett Olet? Tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Wow, thank you for that. Lydia Tett Olet is first, I would say, I'm an entrepreneur and I wear so many different hats. I do so many different things. And Lydia Tett Olet is a Christian who loves God dearly. And Lydia Tett Olet is a mother of, initially, it was three beautiful angels. But now Lydia Tett Olet is a mother of four children. And now Lydia Tett Olet is a wife as well. Yes. So that this is the first platform. Actually, I'm saying that Lydia Tett Olet is a
Oh,
wife.
I'm blessed. Congratulations. Congratulations.
This platform is blessed and highly favored.
Wow. Wow.
So yes, so this is the first time. So that is something that I also have to give God the glory a lot for. And I'm also an insurance broker or an insurance advisor, and I do a lot of events. And Lydia Tett Olet is somebody who looks for problems. Like I look for problems, and then I find a solution, and then I ask God to help me execute it.
Wow.
So, and that is how I also ventured into Kenyan Friends in the Park. And that's how I also ventured into insurance, because I saw a problem in our community. Not just with Kenyan Friends in the Park, it was more of a Kenyan community, but with insurance, it was more of an African community. So I saw a problem and I found a solution, and then I asked God to help me execute it. So that's who Lydia Tett Olet is. I go just looking for like problems. Where can we fix this? Where can we fix this? And then I find a solution, and then I prayed for God to help me execute it. And that has been a success. So that's my success story.
Wow. You're just a problem solver. Not just a problem solver, but you are an innovator as well, because you're always looking for a problem, and then in so
Yes.
doing, you just stamp your mark,
Yes.
on it, and that has made you Lydia Tett Olet.
Yes.
Like we mention your name, and a lot of things just drop down.
Oh, thank you.
Insurance, broker, an entrepreneur, a mother, CEO of this, so many things. And
Thank you.
just you two, just fishing for problems. And I think now I'm also going to, start looking for problems and, and so doing, yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, you've taught me something tonight. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we should all be seeking, I mean, not troublemakers, but looking for problems to
Yes.
solve. Looking for problems to solve. Um, we just want to know. Tell us a little bit about life in Kenya before you moved to England, who you were then, and also what were you into, and also how you'd also want to describe life back then personally, and also life in the country as a whole.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would say as a little girl, I was raised in a home that I love my mom to bits. I love my mom and my dad. And I always say that they gave me what they were given, because you can only give what you have, or you can only give what you know how to give. And you know that those days that we were born in Africa, there was no love. It was just so much of, it was like we're living in a camp, like do this. And sometimes I even remember, now we laugh about it, they beat you even before you commit the crime, like, or you do the mistake, and before your mom leaves to work, she'll pinch your ears and slap you and say, when I come back, I want to find this house clean. And they're thinking, why are you beating me? I mean, I've not even not cleaned the house. I will clean the house. So it was, the discipline was just too much. And some of them turned more of into abuse rather than discipline. So I was raised up in a family like that, and I didn't see so much love when I was growing up in my family. There was always fighting. And I made up my mind that I didn't even want children, because I thought I didn't want to bring children into the world, like my world, the world that I grew up in. And I grew up in so much poverty. And I from when I was a little girl, I knew that wasn't my life. I hated that poverty. I hated the fact that I was going to school without shoes. I hated the fact that sometimes we're just drinking strong tea without sugar and ugali that we ate last night. So I really hated that life. And secretly, I prayed, even though I wasn't a Christian, then I knew there was a power somewhere. And I prayed that this is not a life that I want for myself. And definitely, I'm not going to have children or bring up children to have this kind of life. But when I grew up, and now I said, okay, I have children. I said my children will never live the life that I lived, because I didn't like that life. I said I'll give my children everything that I know in life. There's a life is a circle, and you must make intentional decision to come out from that circle. Otherwise, it's just going to go round and round. You are born in a family that there was no love, a family that people are fighting, a family that there was alcoholism, a family there was adultery, a family that was all these things. And you decide as a person, I don't want that life. Or you can continue with that life. And most of the time, that's why you see all this domestic violence happening. Most of the time, we continue with that life, because it's so hard to come out of that circle that has been going on from generation to generation. But for me, I made that decision that I don't want this life for myself and for my children. So as much as I was in that family, and I was actually one of the bad ones, they're fighting all the time. I was actually a very rebellious child, that I actually prayed to God, and I said, if I was to ever have children, I would never want my children to follow my footsteps, because I was so rebellious. But I feel like looking back now, I was only acting out because that's how I knew to act. So that's all I knew, like, because the environment that was born, the society, everybody was acting the same way. So everybody was rebellious, everybody was being beaten, everybody was being shouted at. There was no love. It was just the same circle. And when I made up that decision that I don't want to be like this, I started first projecting positivity in my life. And at that time as well, it was so hard because we didn't have all social media. There was nobody in social media that is telling you, you need to project positivity in your life. You need to be like this. You need to attract positive energy. There was not all those things. So I really, really thank God that came from somewhere that I don't even know where. But I was always positive. I've always been this positive person. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So when it happened for me, I was, all I can say is I thank God that it happened. And when I left my country, Kenya, there's no one who told me, there's nobody who, these people that somebody will push you and say, hey, go to leave your country, we'll pay for your thing. I just made that decision myself. I just went to my auntie one day and I was like, Auntie, I know you're working for travel agency. I don't want to stay in this country anymore. I want to leave. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I want to leave, because I used to perform with this group called the Mushrooms, and we used to travel to different countries. And when we came to the UK, I was like, wow, I'm going back to this country. I don't know how, but I'm going to go back to this country. So I went to my auntie and I was like, you work for tickets. Can you please give me a ticket? I'm going back to the UK. She was like, to who? How? I said, you know what, auntie, I'm going back to this country. So I found myself in the UK. And when I came to this country, that is called culture shock, because I thought that the weather, the food, the environment, the way people are friendly in my country, that's what I'm going to get here. But when I got here, shock of my life, rude shock, like proper rude. And we were like cramped in one house. In one house, we were like literally like 20 of us. Some were sleeping on the floor, some were sleeping on the bed. And I was like, this is England. How can we live like this? Like when even in Kenya, I wasn't living like that. But the fact that I knew that I can work to climb a ladder that I wouldn't have done when I was in Kenya, I was okay being in that room. But also being there, I knew that's not my portion. I'm not just going to stay in this room. Of course, I'm going to work my way up. So, of course, I started as a chambermaid. So I was a
Before
chambermaid.
Lydia, sorry to interject, but before
Yeah,
we
that's
go
fine.
into the life in the UK, can I
Yes.
just ask you, in spite of the negativity, do you have any fun memories at all? I know you grew up in that negative environment, but in spite of that, do you, sometimes in your quiet moments, do you miss certain, moments in your childhood, or like, can I say, do you have any fun memories?
I I think my mom, I as much as there was all this negative environment, I was born in this negative environment and everything, but I looked at that woman. There's nothing that woman did not do. And I think at that time, I don't think even my mom saw herself as an entrepreneur, but I think she was. There's nothing that woman did not do. She sold magazines, she sold this just to see us go to school or to see us eat or to see us for her to pay the rent because my dad had a very good job. So it's not like my dad did not have a job, but he misplaced his priorities. So his priority was just women and alcohol. And that's why also I made up my mind and I said, I don't want to get married to someone who either drinks alcohol or someone who is a womanizer. But again, I found myself in that circle. That's how I found myself, and I had to work myself out from that circle. So it's not like my dad was poor, but because he misplaced his priority, we were poor. But my mom, that's the memory that I love the most, is just to see my mom work so hard. My mom, this one is not working out for her. She'd leave it, she'll go somewhere else, she'll do this. She kept on doing every single thing that she knew how to. So that memory of looking at my mom, I wouldn't say struggling, but I would say fighting is something that is a nice memory for me because it has allowed me to become who I am right now.
So would you describe your mom, as your influencer, growing up as
Yes.
a child? Okay.
Yes, I think my mom, she's my inspiration because even up to now, she's still not giving up. We're like, Mom, you need to calm down, you know. She is my inspiration in a very, very weird way. She is. Even though sometimes I feel like I want to blame her for some things, but then I look back and I'm like, I can't really blame her because that's all she knew. Because one day I asked her, I was like, because one day my dad really beat her and all her teeth came out. And she had to run to my neighbor to fix her teeth back. And now, of course, my dad has changed and I love him to bits. But that time, he was a very horrible person. And I always tell him that I say, Dad, you are a horrible person, but now you've changed. And he's always telling my brother that you don't want to be like me. So at least he has realized what his mistakes were, even though he did damage to a lot of us. But now it's us to deal with it because that happened and it happened. And I asked my mom one day, I said, why did you stay? Why did you subject us to that punishment, to that? Because things like that. And when people say that I stay because of the children, they actually damage the children the more. It damages the children when people stay in an abusive environment and say, I'm doing it for the children. You're not doing it for the children. You're doing it for yourself, for selfish reasons, and you're damaging those children the more. Because I feel like we were really, really damaged because of my mom staying there and seeing all the abuse that my dad was doing to her. And the fact that now we had to leave that. I lived that. I lived that for a long time, for 17 years. And it just took God's grace to take me out. Probably, if it wasn't for God, I'll still be there. And I wouldn't have even known that I'm in an abusive relationship because my mom lived there. She was there. She never left. So I'll be like, okay, I have to stay because my mom stayed. So I asked her that question and I said, Mom, why did you stay? Why didn't you just go? And she was like, oh, I left and my mom told me to go back. My mom told me to go back because her mom went through the same and she stayed. So she expects her daughter to stay. And the same thing, probably my mom expected me to stay. So, and then I'll expect my daughters to stay. And then it's just a cycle that never ends. But I'm really proud of my mom regardless, because even her, she break through. So she's not with my dad either.
Wow. I know this is not part of
It's
this,
not part.
but you know what? Can I just push the same? Do you think, we should be having conversation with our parents, from time
Yeah.
to time to um to also let them know how we feel about
Mm.
them staying in those abusive marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some of them will say, oh, if I had left, maybe you wouldn't have been who you are today. But listening to you, and also listening to what you've been through,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth the staying.
It's
It's not
not.
worth it.
It's not worth it at all. And I think, yes, children should have those conversations with their parents, but when it has happened already. So I think now, as children, we need to now get to that, because I know there's a lot of people who have never moved on. There's a lot of people who are still struggling with what happened to them. There's a lot of people who are now in the same circle as their mother or their father, because we also have fathers who are in abused
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
We also have fathers who have been beaten by their wives and they're still home. And so we do have that. But once you're out of it, like now I'm out of it, I have to work so hard to have that sanity back, or to have that healing from my parents, and to forgive them, and to also forgive myself. So I've forgiven my parents 100%, but it was just something that I did not understand why my mom had to stay and subject us to such an abusive environment.
I thank God for His restoration. I thank God for restoring your life. I
Yeah.
thank God for um, giving you that healing,
Yeah.
to the point that you are now a blessing, to many women, and not just women, but to humanity, at
Yeah.
large. And I pray that God will continue to work on you, to still have the love in your heart, to
Yeah.
forgive your parents, and still move on. Now, um, life in the UK as a young girl,
Life in the
now
UK.
here with no parents, now crumbling in one small room. I bet it's like when you were coming, you thought, I'm just coming to
Pick
the
money
you
from
go
the
see,
trees.
yes, I mean, right from the airport, money everywhere, and you thought,
Mhm.
and then the cultural shock and the shock everywhere.
Yeah.
Now take us this, through this journey, because um, we would love to actually hear that part,
Yeah, the journey of
how
the
we managed to
UK.
evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, UK is very interesting, or let me say, a white man's land, or Caucasian people's land is very interesting, because when we're in Africa, you think that, oh, when I go to America, when I go to UK, there's money. There's no money. There's no money to pick from the streets. You really have to work so hard. And yes, there's opportunities. Yes, there is opportunities, but you still have to work really hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that I came during winter did not help, because I know I came in
Don't
December.
even go there. Don't even go there.
It was so cold. I was like, oh, what is this? I come from a country that there's so much sun, and then now I'm here and it's so cold. I don't have proper clothing for winter. And then we have to wake up, we have to go to look for a job. Now I'm doing chambermaid, I'm cleaning hotels, I'm cleaning the toilet, I'm doing this. And I'm thinking, wow. But regardless of all those things I was doing, I knew I'm working for a better me tomorrow. I'm working for a better Lydia Tett Olet tomorrow. But wherever I was, I had to give it my best for me to move on. And that's why I always tell people that wherever you are, give it your best for you to move on. It's so weird, because I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and he was like, wherever I am, I have to give my best first. I have to give my best. And they said, yeah, I remember when I was a chambermaid, I actually got awards for being a chambermaid. How can you get awards for cleaning a toilet and cleaning people's rooms? I was like, I was the maid of the month. I had certificate, and I got an award, the maid of the month, for cleaning rooms very clean. And I said, if you want God to take you out from point A to point B, you must give your best in point A. regardless of where you find yourself. If you find yourself as a cleaner, you find yourself as a, there's no shame of being a cleaner, because we still need cleaners in this world. We can never, this world cannot operate without every single person. Every person is important and every job is important. And that's why those jobs are there. So when I was a chambermaid, I gave it my best to the extent of me receiving awards. And because I knew I'm working for a better tomorrow and I'm working for point B where God will take me. And life was so hard because when I came, it was only me. I was a young girl. There was no baby. I wasn't, it was just me fighting for me, Lydia Tett Olet. And then now, the father of my children, he was in Kenya at that time. And then I invited him over because I was like, oh, come, let's stay. And the thing is, I always say that probably if I told him the truth, I don't know if he had come, because he had a very, very good job in Kenya, actually. He was a manager with Coca-Cola. He had a very good job. And I kept on just telling him, yeah, this place is nice. I didn't tell him the truth about everything that was happening. And that I feel like there's a lot of people in diaspora who lie to people back home the way diaspora is. And that's why they have that image of how diaspora is. Oh, I want to go because they have this and they have that. So I was one of those that was just telling the father of my children that, oh, this is how it is. So I was selling a dream that wasn't there. And because of that, he really, really wanted to come over because I wanted him to come over. He was my first boyfriend. I loved him dearly and I was lonely and I just wanted him to come. So even though he started abusing me in Kenya, but I didn't see it like that because I just thought he loved me. But it wasn't love. It was just probably lust, infatuation. I don't know what it was. And because my mom went through that, I had to go through that with my ex. And I was staying. I was okay with him beating me up. I was okay with him treating me like that because to me, that was love. So he came over, and when he came over, of course, we were not documented at that time. So we were struggling to look for work, to find this. And then I think a year later, I got pregnant with my first baby. And that hell just broke loose from there. It was struggle after struggle to the point that we were actually eating from the bin because we were we were living in this room. It was subletted room, so we had a room in there. And God is so gracious. God will feed you, even if you have to eat from the bin. God will feed you one way or another. He will not let you stay hungry. And there's this guy who was working at the bakery, so he'll come with bread, a lot of bread, and then put some in the bin. And when he closes his door, we go to the bin and get them out, get the bread out and put them in our room. And one day we even stole his milk. And he said he's gonna call the police. And we're like, oh my God. And we know we were not documented at that time, so we had to put the milk back. That was so funny. And we used to go to where they're selling the fruits, because in this country, all the fruits that are leftovers, they always chuck them. And then when they chuck the fruits, we'll go and take them. We take the fruits from there. They're still fresh fruits. They're still nice. According to them, they're not, because maybe one is dented like this. They don't want to sell them again the next day. We pick them up, we eat them. Until one day, somebody introduced me to credit card. And somebody was like, guys, have you not heard about credit card? I was like, credit card? What is that? And I got my credit card, and I remember it was £500. And because my ex is from this tribe that they like chicken, we always say that they love chicken, which is true. They do love chicken, like proper. We went and bought chickens.
You're joking.
£500. We just bought food because we had not eaten properly for the longest. So we were like, chicken first. So we bought chicken. We were just wasting the £500 on food. In fact, I wouldn't say waste because I was pregnant at that time. So we didn't have anything. So at least at that time, at that little period, we stopped picking food from the bin. And we started buying with the credit card. And that was my first credit card, which we totally misused on food. And life was very, very tough. Life was tough. But we were together. So we were helping each other. And I remember one day I went to the hospital, and they told me that your baby is so small. When they measure, I don't know how they measure the stomach like this, and they told me your baby is so small because I wasn't eating properly. And the father started crying and was like, oh my God, so what happened to you? Is our baby gonna die? And they said, no, she's not gonna die, but your baby is very, very small. So now when we get food, you let me eat first. And then he say, after you're full, that's when I'll eat. But because sometimes I wasn't really full, but I don't want to finish the food for him. So I'll leave some for him as well. So we struggled together. It was a together struggle, which was good because I wasn't by myself. I was at least with their dad.
So, in spite of your struggles, I know you've been, oops, sorry,
It's all right.
sorry about that. You teach, like you've taught, schools, your cultural dances. You've
Yes.
helped written movies. You've done so much. At what point did you do all these?
Sorry?
Like,
At what point?
yeah. At what point did you start teaching dances or dancing in
Okay.
schools and
Yeah,
also
so
written movies?
yeah. So because I was a dancer back home in Kenya, and one day I went to a party, and by the way, I like partying. I like my partying. And I saw people dancing on stage, and I followed on stage. And even somebody was like, Lydia, don't do that. I was like, no, I'm going on stage. So I went on stage. Thank God I did. And when they moved like this, I'll move the same, I'll do the same. And the guy was like, wow, you're a very good dancer. And I was like, yeah, I used to be a dancer back home. That's what I told him. And he was like, oh, I'm actually in this group that people are dancing. You can come. So I was like, really? There's a group that people are dancing in this country? I said, yes. I said, that's what I've been looking for. I don't want to do chambermaid. So I went and I called the number, and they called me for an interview. And it was a proper job that we started at 10 and finish at 6 every day. It was rehearsals, dance rehearsals, and then we used to perform in different cities here in the UK, Birmingham, Edinburgh, Scotland, and here in London we used to perform at Waterloo at Queen Elizabeth Hall. So it was a proper dancing company. So I stopped doing chambermaid because this was actually now full-time work. So I danced in that company called Ajido Pan African Dance Ensemble for 10 years. So it's through that they used to do workshops. So they used to send us to different schools to do workshops and teach children how to dance, African things. And through there, I started learning things because when we went to schools, we meet with different companies that are doing storytelling, companies that are doing drumming, companies that are doing tie-dye, mask making, bead making. So I took all their numbers and I started learning. So for me, it wasn't just about dancing; it was about learning different things, so that I have my skills. Actually, I enlarged my skills. So I started learning how to drum. So right now, when we finished, I opened up my own company. After 10 years, I opened up my own company called Malaika Dance Unique, which I did close in 2020. And then in that company, I now started employing my own people. So I used to go to schools, do storytelling, drumming, mask making, tie-dye, bead making. I learned all these things apart from just dancing. So my life, I've always been growing. I've been learning something, not just staying stagnant of, okay, you're a dancer now, they're paying you, and that's it. No, it's like I have to learn, elevate myself, do something. And I got to a point where I just had my own company now, sending people, going to schools, doing workshops. And that's how I got to that place. So my breakthrough came when I went on that stage and I was dancing with those people. So that is why I always tell people, don't fit in, stand out. Because I could have fit in with that crowd and say, oh yeah, I'm not going. Because they're like, no, Lydia, don't go. That's embarrassing. And I was like, no, I'm going. So I stood out from the crowd. And because I stood out, that's where my breakthrough came about. If I didn't go on that stage, I'll still continue to be a chambermaid for how long? I don't know. But that's how my breakthrough came about.
So it's good to stand out.
Stand out always. Don't fit in,
Wow.
stand
Don't
out.
fit in, stand out. Don't fit in,
Yes.
stand out.
And that.
And also, you said something that really, touched my heart. In spite of all the, difficulties that, like you went through with your partner, you still managed to have the courage to showcase the talent that you have, which is dancing, and which is
Yeah.
something that you loved doing. We still have, many women um, who sometimes shy away from the little skills or the little talent. I wouldn't say little, but all the talent that God has given, to them.
Yes.
And then, to the points that they feel it doesn't really matter. Everything, has to be about book. But here you are tonight telling us that your breakthrough actually came from um, the skill or the talent that God gave you, which
Yeah.
is dancing,
Mm.
which is dancing. And
Mm.
also, we should learn to stand out. We
Yes.
shouldn't learn to fit in.
Yes.
Wow, wow. So, at what point did you start, writing the movies? Because I learned you've done some movies, the Nollywood
Yes.
movies
It-
and here and there. We, we,
yes.
we did, because from Kenya to Nigeria, it doesn't sound,
It doesn't sound.
We just
Kenya
want
to
to know a
Nigeria.
little bit.
Hey.
Yeah.
In fact, from Kenya, like of course I always say Kenya is my first country to always be home. Nigeria is my second country because after Kenya, I have so many Nigerian friends. Nigerians have accepted me. Nigerians love me. Nigerians have got so many awards. I think I have like more than 100 awards in my house. And I would say 80% of my awards are from Nigerians. So I love Nigerians. I appreciate them 100%. And I know when people say, oh, Nigerians are bad. I always say, guys, look, you have to look at the history of where people are coming from.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and say Nigerians are bad, but look at how many Nigerians are there in the world. We have almost 280 million Nigerians when you only have 53 million Kenyans. So you can never compare and say, oh, Nigerians are bad, Kenyans are good. It's because they are plenty. So probably they even have 100 million who are good. That is the whole Kenya double that are good. So I work really well with Nigerians. And I find that with Nigerians, provided you're not into their business, they will just love you. But you see, even with Kenyans, whether you're in their business or not, it's the same thing. You have problems every time. But so when I was doing schools, and then I met this group. They're called what are they called? Oh God, I hope I remember them. This is not nice. Oh, Global Fusion. Yeah, Global Fusion. I met them in a school as well, Global Fusion. And when they saw what I'm doing, they're like, oh, so what else do you do? And I said, I can also write a movie. Now, Kenya was celebrating, I think Kenya was celebrating 50 years of Kenyan independence. And they're like, what can you do for Kenya? And I thought, I can write. So I wrote a play and for Kenya called The Darkest Hours of Victory, which really, really went really, really well. So they helped me write a play. So when I did that play, when people came to watch the play, some Nigerians came. And that's where I met this guy and was like, wow, you wrote this play? I said, yes. Oh, so that's where we became friends and introduced me to Nigerian community. His name is Steve Nash. I really, really respect Steve Nash. He introduced me to Nigerian community. He gave me a camera. He started sending me to red carpets to do interviews for when they had the movie premium. When they have their movie premium, I would go do interview in the red carpet. So that's how I started getting into Nigerian movies. And then now I met this lady called T.Y. Moore, and she was like, I've seen you so many times doing interviews. And you Kenyan? Yes, I would like to have a Kenyan in my movie. Can you do? I said, yeah, I can do a movie. So that's how I now started acting. And then she pushed me one day. She was like, I saw your play. You can actually write a movie. I said, no, I can't write a movie. I've never done that. She said, no, you can. This lady forced me to write a movie. And I wrote my first movie.
Wow.
And that movie went to Nigeria. So I went to Nigeria for 2 weeks.
Wow.
That was 2015. And I was like, wow, so you can actually do anything that you put your mind in. Even though most of the time, sometimes we need people to push us, but you also have to be self-motivated, because people can only push you if you're self-motivated. If you're not self-motivated, nobody cares about you. But because she saw how I used to work so hard in the red carpet, because the red carpet, I don't know if you've been, but the red carpet is like a struggle. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be, because we are so many of us, so many media people. So this person want to be here, this person, and I used to like push all of them. So they were like, one guy called Abasi, like, this Kenyan girl, this Kenyan woman is here again, this Kenyan woman is here again. And I'm like, I have to get the best spot. So she saw the way I was just a go-getter. And that's how she now introduced me to also Nollywood movies. And since then, 2015 until today, I do Nollywood movies as well. So it's just things that just upgrading myself small, like I would say.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, like not only you being a problem solver, but you're also a go-getter. So
Yes.
tonight, we are still adding to your hats.
Still
And
having.
yes, so by the time we finish, I think maybe you would have worn about 20 hats in addition to to the hats that you have already. Now, we've seen you everywhere that you go wearing Kenya, whether your wristband, whether your accessories, whether your clothes, everything about you is so patriotic, and you just represent Kenya so beautifully that sometimes you make us even jealous that we don't even represent our various countries very, very, very well. And tonight I've seen your bracelet.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Kenya. So we just want to, because we've seen Kenya and Friends in the park, and it has come to stay. And when you look at what goes into the organization, how the whole thing is organized, you could tell that the CEO, is a person that pays attention to details. So tonight, we just want to ask, what inspired you to create Kenya and Friends in the Park? And what is your vision behind it?
Okay, I love that. I love that. So I always say that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that we do on this earth has been done by somebody. It's just that now when you do it better, you do it bigger, and you twist it so it's unique to you. So I used to, like I said, I'm a dancer. So I used to dance in this Ghana in the park. And every time I went to Ghana in the park, I used to look at it and say, why can't we as Kenya have something like this? But that was just a thought planted, a seed planted in my mind. And I was thinking, yeah, Kenya in the park, we can have something like this. But as much as I looked at it, it was really scary because it was so beautiful. It was big, nicely attended. And I was thinking, wow, nobody knows me in my Kenyan community. How am I going to do this? And while I was still just contemplating that thought, a girl, and that's why I love Kenyan Friends in the Park, because there's a very powerful story behind it. As much as the initial inspiration came from Ghana in the park. And there was this Kenyan girl that committed suicide, and she was only 26 years old. She was actually really young. And the letter she left behind was the fact that she was lonely, because I think her boyfriend was somewhere else, her parents were somewhere else. So she was only in this country by herself. And she was so lonely. In those days, the mobile phones were not really like that either. So she committed suicide. And when I read the article, I was like, wow. That time, because this is long time ago, like 10 years ago, I was like, wow, somebody committed suicide because they were lonely. So now I'm thinking of that Ghana in the park, and I'm thinking, wow, so if we did something like that, we'll reduce loneliness in our community. And then another girl from Uganda died of starvation. I think that was the saddest thing for me. I said, how can somebody die of starvation? Where was the government? Where was the church? Where was the friends? Where was the family? Like, okay, I can say maybe family and friends. Maybe she was here by herself, which is okay, because a lot of people in this country by themselves. That's why I always say this is home away from home, and it's very lonely. But where was the church? Where was the government? And they were showing videos that she went to the church. I don't know, the church turned her down. She went to where she was actually trying to fetch for herself, but she also had some underlying condition, medical condition, and then she passed on. And that, I was like, no, this is not happening. This is not going to happen in a Kenyan community. I have to do something. I have to do something to bring people together. And then there's also that element of investment. The fact that, I don't know if it happens to you in your country, but this is an African problem where we send money back home. You send money to your parents or your friends or whoever you send money to, and you ask them to build you a house, because we know that we don't want to retire in this country. A lot of people don't want to retire here. A lot of people don't want to retire back home. And then a lot of people are also not documented. So they're like, okay, this money that I'm getting, I want to get this money, send it home. Let somebody build me something, even if it's a small house. My dear, that never happens. They spend that money. They spend the money. And then they send you beautiful pictures that this house, and you're there just sending more money, thinking they're building your house. When you go back, there's nothing. So one day I was doing my hair in a salon, and this lady came in and she was so like distraught. And I was like, what happened? And she said one of her friends went back to Nigeria, and this was Nigeria, not even Kenya. And she found out that her parents, there was nothing for him. So he committed suicide in his mom's house. In his mom's house. It was like, that's because he couldn't come back because he wasn't documented. But the money he sent back home was so much. They built him a fake house. They bought him fake tractors. So he knew, you know what, I'm done. Let me go back home. I have a house and I have business. He had nothing. And I was thinking, this is an African problem because it happens in Kenya a lot. So I said, what if I do that thing that Ghana is doing and bring investors from Kenya? So there's no me and somebody, there's only me and the investors. And also these investors, because even some of them are liars as well, some of them are dodgy, some of them are fraudsters. We vet them properly before we bring them here, so nobody is conned or they had the money they worked so hard for. So that is how now Kenyan Friends in the Park was born. And then also the culture aspect of it. A lot of our children don't speak our language, but some do. So if they meet up, probably they'll start speaking their language. So there's a lot of things that happened for Kenyan Friends in the Park to be born. But those are the main ones, the socializing, the networking, the investment part of it. All those were part of why I started it. And then I said, okay, so if I call it Kenya in the Park, the other thing as well with the Kenyan community, I think as an African country, as an African continent, the whole continent, I think Kenya as a country, we are the ones that have so much intermarried. We're so much with intermarried with Caucasian, Indians, probably other African countries. So I said, if I call it Kenya in the Park, what about the other people that we've intermarried with? They're going to feel like, okay, I'm not a Kenyan, I'm not invited. So that's why I call it Kenya and Friends in the Park, so that everybody can be included. So that is how it was born.
Wow. Kenyan Friends in the Park.
Yes.
It's so beautifully, done that every year. I think the whole of UK, everybody's on standby, waiting for Kenyan Friends in the Park.
Yes.
And so, for future generations of Kenya and other African, countries residing abroad, how will Kenya and Friends, in the park adapt?
Well, like next year we're celebrating 10 years. And my aim since I started it, you can even see from the vision that I wrote when the first year, 2014, when we started it, it was, we would love one day to have the African country, either Africans, each country do their own, maybe like now we have Ghana in the Park, we have Zimfest. Zimfest is Zimbabwe and South Africa together. And I know we had Sierra Leone. I don't know if they're still happening. If they can all have something like that, and I inspire them because I talk to them, I talk to different community leaders, and I'm like, why can't you guys do something like this? Oh, our community, we're not together. I said, you think you're not together until you try, because that's what Kenya was as well. I thought, oh, Kenyans were not together, but until you try something, you can never know. And if it fails, at least you tried. And failure does not define you. That doesn't mean that you are a failure just because you failed in something. So don't be scared to fail. And I think a lot of people are probably scared to fail. And they're like, I don't want to do it because I might fail. You see, 2022, Kenyan Friends in the Park did not happen. And I had a lot of negativity, a lot of bad comments, a lot of this. And I was just thinking, we've done this event for so many years, and every year it has happened and it's been good. So this one year that we're having problems because of after COVID, there's so many problems, issues here and there. It's not happening. Now everybody's like, oh, why is it not happening? But that did not stop me from starting to plan 2023. So as much as that time did not happen, immediately I started planning 2023. So somebody was saying,
You've muted yourself.
oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody said, are you going to do Kenyan Friends the Park again? Maybe you should give up. I said, no, I'm planning 2023. Just because this one failed does not define me as a failure. I am not a failure. The situation or the circumstance or the event or whatever happened around failed. But we plan again and we move forward. So moving forward, I would like Africa as a continent to have in each country have something for themselves, and then maybe we can come together, even if it's just East African community come together. Like we're celebrating 10 years, I would love, this is my dream, to have an East Africa come together and do, even though it's Kenya and Friends, and they'll be Friends of Kenya. Because the thing is, if you change the name, then again it loses the purpose. So it has to stay as Kenya and Friends, but then bring these friends, Tanzania friends, Ugandan friends, Burundi, Rwanda, bring them in as friends. And then maybe Central Africa does their own. So I'm in talks with other different community leaders, like, and if they want help, I'm always here. I'm like, you guys, we can do this. So Africa as a continent, we can stand strong. Even economically, because even that helps us economically, because when we're bringing people from back home, because a lot of people are so skeptical in investing back home because of what happens. No, I'm not buying a house. No, I'm not investing back home. But if we bring in the genuine investors from home, then we are actually making our economy stronger as well, because that will discourage people who are thinking, I'm just investing in the UK. When you're investing in the UK, you're just growing their economy. What's happening to our own economy? If you know what I mean.
Sure.
So by that as well, it grows and makes our economy stronger.
Amazing. That is an interesting, vision, for, Kenyan and Friends, in the park. You are so busy doing so many things, at the same time. So, to the woman, or to the young girl that wants to walk in your steps, but is so scared, we just want to know, what is your process of remaining calm in high pressure situations and still manage to handle constructive criticisms, Lydia?
Wow, that's a nice one. That's a nice one, because there's a lot of so what I always describe is like, I'll use this as, if this water is up to here, it's totally full. So that means that all this is clean and nice for you to drink up to there. And then somebody just comes with a little drop, just a little drop of sewage water, and drops it. You can't drink this water. All that water is contaminated right now.
Yeah.
But before it was contaminated, the percentage of 98% was clean.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at my life. That's how I look at anybody who is coming to my life to either comment positive or negative. And that little one doesn't bother me. I don't take it in. One day my daughter asked me, Mommy, why is it that all these comments you just laugh? I read at the comments, especially the negative comments, and I laugh. I take it, when I read a negative comment, I take the positive thing out of it. I just look at it and only take positive. I don't look at it as negative, regardless of what somebody will say. Somebody one day asked me, I was at the embassy, and I don't know why they asked me that, just from nowhere. They said, Lydia, how do you know who your real friends are? That question. And she asked me this question like probably 7 years ago, but it still rings in my head, because I was like, why did she ask me that? That's one. And two, who are my real friends? But how I define my friends is I don't expect anything from my friends. And I think that's where we go wrong with especially friends or even family or even husband or wife or even children. We put an expectation of this person, and then when they don't meet the expectation, they're now bad friends. I don't like them. They didn't do this. They didn't do this. You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't have any expectation from anybody. So if they then do, if they come and I feel like, why are you behaving like this? Why are you saying this? I just brush it off because I don't expect anything from them. I don't expect them to be good and then they're now bad. And then I'm now thinking, oh my God, why are they behaving like this? So I have no expectation from anybody. And that is why I've remained positive with those people that are working with me, and those who fall off the way, I just let them fall off the way without feeling bad. Because I always say that in life, people come to your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. There are those who will be with you forever, regardless of what happens. There are those who will be with you and get tired on the way and drop. There are those who will be with you and get tired, but before they drop, they make sure they tarnish your name. But there's those ones who just live peacefully, they will not tarnish your name. So we have all those people. So if you know that in your mind that this is what's going to happen, you're not going to get upset because you're going to know, okay, yeah, their time is done. They want to drop peacefully, or their time is done. They want to drop with tarnishing my name. But is that who I am? No. Then you move on. So that's what I always tell my children. If they come and my daughter maybe is crying and say, Mommy, they did this. I say, but are you that? No, Mommy. So why are you crying? I know it hurts because if somebody say this that you are not expecting that person to say, but why were you not expecting that person to say that about you? Because you've put this person in a pedestal and expect this from them. So stop expecting things from people.
Too much.
Just leave. So when somebody comes and they say something bad about me, I always just laugh. My daughter never understands why I laugh, but I just laugh.
Wow. So don't expect too much from people.
Stop expectations, yes, because they'll always let you down.
Yeah. And also just dare to be different. Don't try to fit in. Yeah. Okay.
Stand out, stand
Stand
out,
out.
stand out.
Stand out. Stand out. We've seen all your charitable, works that you're doing, and you were just representing Kenya. When,
Yeah.
A young girl growing up that went through a lot could have decided to say that, oh, I'm in England, I'm having the best time of my life. What business do I have with Kenya? Because I didn't have, much, actually going on for me growing up as a child. But here you are, being so charitable, always wanting to give back to your own country. And you do so boldly. I think I saw something, where you had to, donate fire trucks, fire engine trucks to Kenya, and then many more to schools too. I don't know how you do it. Can you please, tell us, and especially, women in diaspora, how we can, have that kind of heart, that kind of burden to always want to give back, to the various countries that we all come from. If you can share just a little bit of your journey, in that, so that we can learn from you as well.
Yeah. I think as we always have some DNA, we always get some DNA from our parents. And I think my mom was a philanthropist in her own right, because she used to bring so many people from back from the village, and they'll just sleep with us, sleep in our house. And they're thinking, oh, Mom, we don't have enough room, we don't have food. But the little she had, and that's she was sharing every time. And I feel like I've taken that little part from my mom, that for being a philanthropist, because I even remember my own children telling me one day, but Mommy, why are you giving all that money and we don't? And I'm like, I don't know, I just want to give. And I feel like when people define success, personally, success is not the clothes you have or the shoes you have or the cars you're driving or the house you're living in, because one day every single one of us as much as especially Black people don't like hearing this, we're going to die, every single one of us. When you die, you're not going to take your house and your property and all those things. Yes, it's nice to have them when you're here, but it shouldn't be that you're holding on to it like this, that, oh, I don't have this, I'm not going to live. Because the necessity is you have a roof over your head, you have food, you have at least clothes that you can wear. It doesn't have to be the whole room full of clothes or the whole room full of shoes, but something that you can wear. Those are necessity. But now, as humans, we've made materialistic, we become materialistic, and all those things are now necessity in our lives. And we define that as success, because somebody will show me, oh, tell me what you've done. You see somebody who is so successful, according to them, their definition of success, they have big houses, and their children are in prison. Their children are in the streets, smoking weed or killing other children or doing bad things. And you're so busy because your definition of success is I must have a big house, I must have a car, I must have all these things. For what? And whose benefit? Your children? Your children are, because you can't be with your children because you're working so hard. You can't be with your wife or your husband because you're working so hard, because you have to have all these things, because we've defined success as materialistic. My definition of success is one day I want a child, and that has happened already, to stand in the pulpit and say, today I am who I am because Lydia helped me with this, because Lydia did this for us, because Lydia did this. Today I'm successful because Lydia allowed God to use her as a vessel, because I cannot do those things. I can only do those things because I've obeyed God's word and I've allowed God to use me as a vessel to change somebody else's life, because God will not come himself down as a human being and say, okay, Alex, where are you? Let me change your life. But God will use a vessel that is obedient to him, that I've allowed him to use. And that is, I see myself as a vessel, and that's why I'm a philanthropist. And in that school in Kibera, I feel like if I only take one child and train one child, yes, I'm doing justice for that child, and that child can go and change their community. But I felt like I need to work in a school, because then in a school, I'm changing all these children's life. Because when they're home, there's some children, when they're in the house, they don't eat. The only meal they eat is that meal in school, that one meal that they eat in that school. That's their only meal for the whole day. Some of them, the environment is so bad at home that they just want to escape. So you want to make that school like a safe haven for them, where if they come, they feel like, wow, I want to be in this school. And because you've made it like a safe haven for them, they will study hard. Right now, I have one guy who came from that school who is doing my website. He's the one that does my website. Even today, he does my videos, he does my things. And that every time I'm talking to him and he's speaking to me so eloquently, he's like, yes. And he's doing things, and he's even telling me that he's now paying for his children, his sister and brother's university. And I'm thinking, wow, this was that little child in that Shama school, that school in Kibera, in the middle of the biggest slum in Africa, the second biggest slum in the whole world. And he's come out, and now he's teaching his own brothers and sisters because of what we did collectively as teachers, collectively as other people who are also philanthropists, and we help them, and we help them build a school, we help them get books, we help them get equipments that they wanted so that they can study properly. And to me, that is my satisfaction, not to have a big house or a big car. And that is my definition of success. You've changed somebody else's life. That is success. So that is my own definition.
Wow.
And that is why today I can stand and say I'm proud to be a philanthropist.
Wow. I thought I've read so much about you, but I'm still, getting to know more, tonight. So if anybody wants to help, with the kind of, charity that you do, how can they get in touch? I mean, if there's any number, or if there's any website, I mean, anything at all, so that people can, support, or maybe reach out to you and support, because to be supporting a whole, village, is worth commending. And also, if anybody out there wants to support Lydia Tett Olet's charitable organizations, please feel free and contact her. So Lydia, if there's any number that maybe you can put across here, the technical team, will actually put it on the screen so that people can reach out to you, please.
It's just my name, Lydia Tett Olet. If they just reach me from Messenger, and then I'll respond from there. Just Lydia Tett Olet.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Wow. And I just wanted to, I know you have ways of dealing with challenges, and as a woman or as women, that we find ourselves still below the 30% UN threshold that women should actually. And here you are. How have you been able to do all these things in spite of the challenges? Because I know sometimes if you want to connect back home, we face a lot of impediments. We face a lot of frustrations here and there. Have you faced many challenges at all? And if you have, how were you able to circumvent all these challenges in trying to connect or reconnect back to Kenya?
Well, connecting back home has always been, because I don't know how about your country, but I know that in Kenya there's a lot of people who, I don't know why they despise diaspora, but people from diaspora, but I understand both sides. Some people despise people from diaspora because of the way people from diaspora, the way they pace themselves, the way they show off themselves and make you, as somebody probably back home, feel like you're a nobody, like the way probably they'll talk to you, like when they go home. And I always say it's okay because we work so hard. So if you have money, enjoy it. If you want to go with first class, go with first class. Whatever you want to do it. But be humble with whatever you're doing. Don't go home and treat somebody else like they're a nobody just because you're in diaspora and you want to make somebody feel like they're a nobody because they're in Kenya. And I think that has been the clash between people back home and diaspora, is because of that. You feel you're superior. We want people in diaspora want to feel that they're superior over people who are back home, and that is totally wrong. That is totally wrong. Just because you're in another country doesn't mean that I'm in Kenya, you're better than me. Nobody's better than any other person. We are all special in Allah. We're all special and we're all unique in our own different ways. Now, personally, because of that, my humbleness, and because I can fit in any crowd I go to. If I go to the richest people, I'll stand out there. If I go to the common one, we call it common wananchi, that means just an ordinary person, I'll be there and I'll stand out with them. If I go to the lowest, so I don't go anywhere and be like, I'm better than you. So because of that, I think I found favor in God's eye and in man's eye because of that. And then also now just working things in between my own life, I've also always wrote down things, which I know a lot of people probably don't do. I've done my strength and my weakness. So I know what my strength is and I know what my weaknesses are. So I work with my strength. I know some people say work with your weakness. Working with my weakness is a waste of time, is a waste of probably resources. So I don't work with my weakness. I work with my strength. So where my strength is, I work and make it more stronger and stronger and stronger every day. Where my weakness is, I find somebody to work and deal with my weakness. I don't deal with that. So example I'll give you, I'm very, very bad when it comes to things like, this is just an example, to things like admin. I hate admin. I don't want to write no letter. I don't want to respond to no email. So instead of me running behind with all those things and affecting my life or affecting my projects or affecting what I want to do, I find somebody who is good at those things and let them do it. So instead of saying, yes, I can do it. So even if somebody asks me, can you do plumbing? I've never said no. I say yes. And then I find somebody who can do it and they go and do it. So
Whoa.
in life, you have to make sure you know your strength and your weakness, and then work with your strength, make it stronger and stronger every day, because then that will make an impact in your life, in people around you. And then your weakness, get someone else to work on it.
Wow.
Don't work on it, because you'll never work on it. You'll work on it for years. That's why it's called your weakness. It will never be your strength. So that is where I'm at.
It was just a whole book. The whole, now let's go, to the other side of your life. We have the myths of the thief insurer and the stolen insured. I was so intrigued. I think, like it's one of the things that really caught my attention as well. I've seen you being so passionate about igniting a revolution that champions the awareness of Africans being educated on insurance policies.
Mm.
What motivated you to go into that? And also, how successful has that journey been for you?
Okay. With insurance, I think for me personally, since I came to this country, I entered Barclays Bank one day and they were telling me about insurance. But because I have an open mind, I always like to know things. When they told me about insurance, immediately I took it. But I took the wrong insurance. I just took it because they told me, oh, insurance. And because I was very, very young at that time, and they told me when you're 50, and I was thinking, 50? When will I even get to that? That is 50. That's old. But I was like, let me just get insurance. And I got it, but even though it was the wrong one. But then what I find in an African community is the fact that, especially in my community, was if somebody dies, we had to do all this harambe, that's called get together, get money, give money to the person who has died. And sometimes it was very problematic because the money wasn't enough. And then somebody was, they want to be repatriated. They couldn't be repatriated because the money wasn't enough. And that caused so much issues. And I was like, why can't we just have something like a funeral plan? Like if somebody dies, we have a funeral plan rather than all this harambe. And harambe is coming together. And in Kenya, harambe is part of us. That one is something that nobody can ever take away from you. But times are changing. Times are hard. Sometimes somebody don't even have 10 pounds to give. And harambe should be not by people putting pressure on you, but it should be, okay, I have 5 pounds. Let me give this 5 pounds without any pressure. So you give your 5 pounds. Oh, today I don't have money. I don't think I'll give money to this funeral. But the way it is now is you're so much under pressure. If you don't give people, because people put names, so people are looking and say, oh, this person hasn't even given, or how much has this person given? And then they start saying, oh, guys, the money is not enough. Can you push with 5 pounds? Can you push with this? And then you just feel like, oh my God, what can I do? And you don't have money, sincerely don't have money. So there's so much pressure with these harambes. But I love the harambe. The harambe is part of us, but let us do harambe without duress. No duress at all. If it's 10 pounds I have, let me give it happily. And they will appreciate it. They do appreciate, but it's not enough. So as much as we appreciate your 10 pounds, we appreciate your 50 pounds or your 100 pounds, it's not enough. And then now I thought, what if they have insurance? What if they have insurance? We are not going to have all this money. And then also insurance have generational wealth. If you pass on, example, and you've left 1 million behind for your children, you've given them a kickstart in life. And this is something that a lot of African people don't want to hear. Even the other day, I was discussing a will with somebody who was like, oh, I don't want to talk about the will because I'm not going to die. I said, will has nothing to do with death. You're just writing your will. It's like cleaning your house. You don't clean your house because visitors are coming. You clean your house every time your house is clean, not because visitors are coming. So your house is just clean. So I'm saying, we as Black people, we don't talk about generational wealth. We just talk about generational curses. Oh, they were cursed. This family is cursed. Oh, they'll never prosper. What about, let's start talking about generational wealth. Our parents, they don't leave anything for us. And that's why most of us, most of our generation, and I'm not saying everybody, so get me right, most of us, are struggling because our parents left nothing for us. All our parents do is every time they call, give me money. I want money. Give me money. The ones that passed on, they left us with poverty and they left us with debts. When they pass on, we have to bury them. We have to now get money from somewhere or go and get a loan. Then now we are struggling to pay that. Why can't we just have insurance? So when they die, there's money to bury them, and there's also money left behind. So if they had any debt, somebody coming to knock your door, there's money to pay that debt. Or there's something they were doing, there's money to pay that. We don't think like that as most of us as African community. Somebody say, yeah, but when I die, they'll bury me. They will always bury me. When I die, let my children suffer. I don't care. Oh, my children are over 18. So why should I care? And that is a very, I feel pity for people who have this mentality. I actually just feel pity for them because changing them is really hard. But the good thing is a lot of people are actually taking, and a lot of my clients, 80% of my clients are actually Kenyans. And I love the fact that they're now buying into the insurance. They're now, and most people as well who don't have insurance, it's not because they don't want to, it's because the education is not out there. Because the perception of insurance is so wrong that, oh, these people are thieves, they never pay.
Yeah.
But we don't understand why don't they pay? It's true, some of them don't pay, but why don't they not pay? So we need to find that out as well. But this is something that we as Black people, we don't want to do. They give us documents big like this. We don't read. We just sign things. We don't read. We don't understand it. You don't have anybody to explain it to you. You go on Google, do confused.com. So we are really, as an African community, we need to now start having a different mindset because this Caucasian community, they all have insurance. If somebody dies, you say, oh, my nan left me this. Oh, my dad left me this. My this left me this. For us, nobody left us this. They just left us debt. So, and then it's always, they were cast. It was cast. It's just cast. Where is generational wealth? So I think we need to change our mindset in all these things and start talking differently.
Wow. And Lydia, I know you've been having education on insurance policies. If someone wants to get educated on some of these policies, where can they find your like some of the materials so that they can listen and also be educated on all these insurance policies that you've been actually having series on?
I do have if they contacted me again, and on my Facebook every Monday I post about insurance as well every Monday. So there's my number is there, my email address is there, and anybody who is interested, just get in touch because insurance is personal. So it differs from one individual to the other, and it's also personal. So anybody who is interested or anybody who wants, and I should say Africans especially, be interested, please, and contact me. And I also say that insurance has nothing to do with death. So don't feel like if I do insurance, I'm gonna die. My children, my daughter is 18 when she took her insurance. I'm not gonna give my daughter 18-year-old insurance thinking, oh, if I give her insurance, she's gonna die. That's not how the world works. A lot of Caucasian people have insurance. They're not dead. They're still alive. They die at 90, 80, 100, and they have insurance since they were 20 years old. So I think it's very important to start to change that mentality. And if you want to talk about insurance, please just get in touch with me and I'll take you through the journey because it's personal and it's different from each individual.
Wow. If anybody wants to know much about insurance policies, please don't hesitate to contact Lydia Tett Olet. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she's on YouTube as well. And I think on YouTube, she's done an amazing job. Always explaining the different policies, different insurance policies out there. She's done a will, she's done interstate, she's done so many things. And please feel free to be educated. As Black people, we always want to be entertained. And then when it comes to education, we shy away from it. Can we all please change tonight? Make sure that education, not just education, but things that are so important to us, we pay attention to them. And insurance is one of them. And our dear sister, our dear auntie, our dear mother has done justice to some of the policies out there. So please make time and watch them. So if you want to follow, Lydia Tett Olet, she's on Facebook, just like I said, please make time, follow her, like her, and share anything that she posts. She's a woman of, she doesn't mess around. Everything from her is quality and it's worth your time. So please follow her, like her, and let's also project this amazing role model coming from Africa. She's an African girl, and I love her to bits. So please follow her, and just like I said, share everything that she posts as well. Lydia, we've gradually come to the end of our tonight's discussion. I just want to ask you, with all these things going on, what do you envisage for yourself in the coming years?
Wow, that's a nice one. Well, because my passion right now is just to travel. I just want to travel a lot and travel to different countries. And I have a big testimony that is gonna come. And because I've been a single mother. I've been single for like 11 years. And this is a topic that probably will do another day as to women, especially because I feel like a lot of women jump from frying pan to fire because either we are desperate, we feel like time is running out, we feel like God is not here, God is not listening. And I feel like as women, we should take time out and heal. And when you heal, it's not just about is God ready for you to be in a relationship, but are you ready yourself to be in a relationship? Because God might be ready for you, but are you ready? So I took time out, and I didn't expect it to be 11 years, but it did. And God just blessed me with a very, very nice, God-fearing, I'll say first, God-fearing, a passionate, and a very, very responsible, a man that has vision and he has a goal. And I'll just drop it in there. Very handsome guy as well. Let me just drop it in there. They say we're looking for tall, dark, and handsome. It's just a pity that he's not dark. He's tall, light, and handsome. And I would just love to, because I've brought up my children, and my children are really, really, I had my neighbor who passed on, may his soul rest in perfect peace. And when he was in the hospice, he told one of the nurses that if everybody had children like Lydia, you will have 12 children. And I'll never forget that. That touched me. I was like, wow, John. Yeah, and it was actually a white guy who said that. So I was like, wow, how can you? So he said, your children, you've done a good job as a single mother, because I've been a single mother for the whole of their life, because their dad left when my second born was 2 years old, and she's now 18. And I've brought them all myself, and of course my God. And I've done that. So I've done really, really well with my children. My firstborn is 26, my secondborn is 21, my thirdborn is 18. She's going to uni in September. In fact, one of the best unis that she chose, and her teacher actually told her, don't choose this university because you can't make it. So children, please don't listen to those negative teachers out there. And she applied, and she got all the 5 universities that she chose. She was called in all the 5 universities. And the one she's going is one of the top 10 universities in the UK. So I'm really happy that I've done well as a mother. So now, as God has blessed me with a husband, I just want to travel and just have fun. I just want to travel.
Chill.
I just want to travel.
Chill. I know. Lydia, we've come to the end of our discussion, and we thank you so much. And we just want you to look into the camera and just speak to any young girl out there that wants to follow your footsteps, wants to become another Lydia Tett Olet. And also to the woman that has also come to the end of the road and thinks, do you know what? I don't think I can do this again. And also to the diaspora women, what we can also do to project the image of our country. Yeah, before you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just for women out there, or young girls or young ladies out there, first of all, I'll say don't ever want to be like somebody. So don't ever say, I want to be like Lydia Tett Olet or Nana. You can never become. But just pray to God to make you a better version of yourself, for God to make you, because before the creation of the earth, God said that I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. So let God make you that person that will make the kingdom of God happy every day. And be passionate. Consistency. God respects consistency. You can't do something and then on the way drop it. And that's what happened. You drop. Before you know it, you're 70 years, all your life, you're dropping things. So you have to be consistent. Even if it doesn't work, consistency, God respects that. Discipline, God respects discipline. And have a passion of everything you're doing. Everything you're doing, don't start doing it and say, I want to make money. No. I want to grow. I want to grow. And every time you should have your whys. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Are you doing this because Nana is doing it? Are you doing this because one Tom, Dick, and Harry somewhere did it? What is your why? That is the most important thing. Once you define your why, then whatever you're trying to do will be a success. But remember, you have to be consistent. You have to be intentional with everything you're doing. You have to be intentional. And one thing, don't ever believe any projection that does not empower you. Anybody who projects anything negative, don't take it in. If it does not empower you, don't take it. Don't believe when people are telling you that, oh, you're always just taking the positive in. There's always negative. No, I don't want the negative. I'm just listening to the positive. Any negative vibe around you, or negative spirit around you, or negative energy around you, don't deal with it. Just deal with the positive, because that's who we are. We are positive. So, and always project yourself, always project positive things about you. Don't call yourself names. Don't, because sometimes people say, oh, I'm so stupid. I am so this, I'm a failure. Stop projecting negativity in your life. Only project positive things every day. Go in the mirror, say, yes, I am this, I am that, I am this. Before you know it, unconsciously, you'll be waking. You see, like when you're going to sleep, I like gospel music. When you sleep with gospel music and at night, maybe you're waking up to go toilet, you actually wake up singing that song that is singing. How did you wake up singing that song? Because it's in your subconscious. Because you're sleeping, but it's in your subconscious. So when you project every positive things about you every day, that's how your life will be. So please, and pray, keep the faith, and remember, people come in your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. Don't hang on to friends that are not worth it. Hang on to only positive things that will change your life. Yeah, see ya.
Oh, thank you so much, Lydia
Yeah,
Tett Olet. I think you've said
thank
it
you.
all. You've summarized everything that I actually had here. So I guess I just want to say thank you for
Thank
honoring
you.
our invitation to come and lift our spirit up, to come and
Thank you.
empower us, and also to come and um, pour into us tonight. We've learnt a lot from you, and I'll say that my life has changed because I will just go back and listen to this interview again because I
Thank
think
you.
I need to drink again from you. And
Thank you.
you've done so well. Yes, you've done so well.
Thank you.
And we are so proud of you. A single man raising 4 strong children. And, that are, worth talking about. And, this can only be God. And I like the way,
Yes.
your hashtag is, it can only be God.
Yes.
It can only be God. Anyone, does not know about Lydia Tett Olet, please make time and follow her on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on YouTube. Please follow her on Facebook and also watch, like, and share everything that she does. She's an amazing
Thank
woman.
you.
She will inspire you, and also she will, everything about Lydia is super. And tonight, I say thank you for also, taking, us along, with you. in your journey by, bringing friends also to Kenya to make sure Kenya and Friends in the Park is not just all, like only about Kenya, but it's all about, everyone, that wants to be a part of Kenya. We thank you. And also for
Thank you.
all the charity work that you're doing. We just want to commend you for that, for not being so selfish, for not just thinking about your only children, but then you looked beyond yourself to see that, success is not just about, having all these big buildings and stuff, but then you just went ahead to look,
Mm.
beyond, UK, and then you touched roots, and we say thank you. And your story is
Thank
super
you.
swell. So we love you tonight, and we say thank you for your time. And to anyone that has stayed with us till
Thank
now,
you.
as we say thank you for your company. We love you and have a blessed week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.